Airbnb has the opportunity to increase your cash flow by 5 to 10x compared to long-term rentals. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the differences and comparisons of using Airbnb or having your properties be long-term rentals. Before we do, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Hey everyone, my name is Jorge Contreras, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how I've grown my short-term rental business to 6 figures a month, but more importantly, what I've done to exactly accomplish that. Because when I started as a real estate investor in 2012, all my properties were long-term rentals. And then in 2017, I transitioned all of them to short-term rentals. So I have a first-hand experience as to the differences in cash flow, in operations, and we're gonna go over that right here. The truth is, having long-term rentals, in my experience, is actually more risky than having short-term rentals. Let's go into the details. Here's one of the downsides of having long-term rentals. You could only increase your rents by 3 to 5% a year. Another thing about having long-term rentals is that your tenants literally never deep clean your property because they're not invested in the property, or they don't own it. They don't plan on living there for the rest of their life. Whenever something happens, like little maintenance stuff, a lot of times they just ignore it because it's not a big enough issue until it is. And then you as the landlord now have some bigger problems to deal with, and it's gonna cost you in the long term more repairs, more money, more time than if you had short-term rentals. Another thing, by being a landlord with long-term rentals, as you guys know, in 2020, all the stuff that happened, there was an eviction moratorium. So there's actually landlords that are still owed today thousands and like tens of thousands of dollars in back rent that they never got and probably will never get. We didn't experience that with short-term rentals because we only host people for under 28 days. Another thing with long-term is that after 30 days of living in your property, they now have tenant rights. And this does change from city and state to state. But typically, when a tenant is living there for more than 30 days, they now have a certain level of tenant rights that protect them where they cannot be evicted. Doesn't happen with Airbnbs. And the last one, of course, is that you make way less money with long-term rentals. Now let's talk about the upside of short-term rentals. When done properly, it's possible to make $2,000 a month of profit, of cash flow. And now, key words, when done right. And I'm not saying that you're gonna make 2K because I don't know your experience. I don't know if you have experience building a team, a system, automation, right? But when me and my students do this, because we have a proven method, I have 15 years of experience as an entrepreneur, 10 years buying real estate, and over 5 years short-term rental experience. We've developed the system where 95% of the time we're able to make 2K a month or more of cash flow on average. Now, if you're familiar with the cash flow goals with long-term rentals, the goal is typically like $200 a door. And if you're trying to replace a $5,000 a month job with 200, what does that come out to? What is it, like 25 doors at 200 each? Who's gonna buy 25 doors? You can instead just buy a couple of Airbnbs, or for that matter, just rent them. Do the arbitrage model, which you could check out my other videos for. And I have students that with 2 properties for sure, sometimes even just 1, they're making over 5K a month of cash flow because they're following a very proven system. The other thing is, as I mentioned earlier, with long term, you can only increase your rents 3 to 5%. With short-term rentals, you determine what that price is going to be, and no one has a say. Now, obviously, if you have, competitors in the area comparable to your property that are charging $500 a night, you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to charge 10 grand a night. Obviously, it has to make sense. But the point I'm trying to make is that you have 100% control as to what your nightly price is going to be, and you can change it on an ongoing basis. If you see that there's going to be a big concert or a big conference in the area, you could hike up your prices based on supply and demand. And as I mentioned, right, we only host guests for typically 2 as a minimum nights, maximum 28 nights, in order to avoid the whole 30-day rentals, 30-day plus rentals, where now they have, you know, tenant rights. So we typically don't host for more than 28 days. Now there are exceptions, but I'll talk about that in another video. But 98% of the time, our guests are booking for less than 28 days. So if you're ready to make 5 to 10x more cash flow with your properties, hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm here on YouTube, and it basically what it does, it tells YouTube that this is great content and they should recommend it to more people. So truly appreciate that. Here are my final 2 points why Airbnb is a better choice in my opinion. More than anything, we're using a disruptive, innovative technology that accelerates our cash flow when executed correctly. Now, it is true, this requires more operations and more time, but stop thinking like an employee. Now, there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but what I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to make across is that when people say that, they're thinking like an employee, meaning they're like, oh yeah, that's a lot of work, and they're thinking that they have to do it themselves. I'm doing over 150K a month, yet I spend less than 30 minutes a week on my properties. Why? I've got a team, a system that operates my business without me having to be hands-on or be there physically present. This weekend, we're going on vacation to beautiful Cabo San Lucas for a whole week. And guess what? When I come back, my business would have made the same amount of cash flow as if I was home in California. So I'm able to work on the business, not in the business. So stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a business owner. Automate your business so that it truly runs on autopilot. The other reason Airbnb is better is you don't have to buy properties. You can sublease. This is known as the arbitrage model, where you can rent properties, get permission in writing, and then launch it as a short-term rental. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it, but that's just like the behind the napkin quick strategy. And I do have videos that you can check out on that. So guys, creating financial freedom is something that I've become an expert at. I've helped over 3,000 people begin their journey with short-term rentals without owning real estate. If you want to learn more, I got some free upcoming webinars. Check them out in the description down below. They're absolutely free, everything to gain, nothing to lose. Also, check out my podcast, check out my Instagram, all in the description down below. You're also going to find some other great videos here on subleasing, automating, scaling, a lot of great videos. So make sure you guys check out one of the other videos. And again, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification. See you on the next one.